What is going on, everybody? Welcome to episode 2, season 1, episode 2, I should say, of the Triple Thrift podcast, starring the three amigos. That would be me, Drew from Profit Monsters, Josh,
Joey. Oh.
Joey. You got all three of us. Joey, you introduce yourself.
Joey Bada Bing 22, your local mailman, and just got off of work, getting ready for this podcast. Next.
And your boy, Harry Tornado, also known as Josh. We are coming at you today, like Drew said, with episode 2 of the Triple Thrift podcast. We are pumped. Guys, the first episode did really, really well. We got a ton of positive feedback from you guys. We definitely appreciate you guys taking the time to listen to it and give us your feedback. And again, we're just so excited to see where this podcast can go in the future.
Absolutely. I can't say that, like, as far as starting something new, since I've been a reseller, like I've been making YouTube videos and stuff, but I haven't really ventured out to do anything else new that has really been this exciting for me as doing a podcast. And the fact that people are actually like consuming the content and leaving feedback saying like, hey, I really liked this, or I love how you guys did this together, and are talking about these categories and these topics. It's just, I'm so excited. I'm so pumped. I love you guys.
I love you too, man. Yeah, I think there's a ton of people that are just hungry for reselling content. I remember when I first started reselling, I was just so excited about it. Excited about the possibility of, like, just at the time starting out, I was like, dude, I can make an extra $200, $300, $400, $500 a month just flipping stuff from thrift stores. And I was obsessed with it. I was watching every YouTube channel I could come across. I was listening to podcasts and doing all that. And I just couldn't get enough. And I think a lot of people go through that. I don't want to call it a phase because I still do it. I don't watch as much content as I did before I was creating my own content. But once you're interested in the reselling niche, you just scour the internet looking for more content. So there's other podcasts that kind of inspired us. I listened, like I was said last episode, Scavenger Life podcast is really good. Of course, John and Lonnie have their podcast, Guys Without Jobs. It's really good. My friend Denali, I don't know if it's Denali or Denali, but she has a podcast called Flip the Script podcast. I think she does mostly Poshmark sales, but there's a few different podcasts out there, but there's always room for more. I think, as long as the desire and need is there for, for more reselling content in any form, it's all fair game for sure.
Yeah, guys, like the feedback that I've been getting, and I have a smaller channel, even on YouTube and on Instagram, but I've had like at least 10 to 15 people reach out to me saying, wow, like this is new and we love it. Like literally everybody's saying that they love this podcast. And I can't wait to take it another step further with you guys. And I have literally goosebumps just thinking about like what we're going to do next. Like, I just can't wait to keep talking with you guys. And a lot of people are really, really enjoying this. So I am too. So what are we going to talk about? What are we going to talk about today, guys?
Well, we can start with doing our like weekly recap that we had said that we were going to do in our last podcast. We can just kind of share what's going on, how sales have been, any recent highlights or something like that. But I just wanted to say one thing real quick that I'm just like, it's really humbling for me as a reseller, and I guess you could say content creator, that people are just like really, like Joey said, really just enjoying the content. I mean, that means more to me than anybody super chatting me on a YouTube video or PayPaling me money or paying me for, anything like that, which I don't ask for money or anything like that, or, even getting paid from YouTube videos. Like the words of affirmation that people give me is just like the worth more than any money someone could pay me. So I just want to say thank you. I really appreciate it. And I think we all do. I speak for all three of us when I say that, of course. But yeah, Josh, why don't we start with you this week, and you can just tell us, what's been going on in the last week. I know you've had a couple new YouTube videos come out, and some pretty decent stuff going on. So
yeah, this week was definitely pretty good. With reselling, it's kind of like a sales job. I've always compared it to that. Like, you're not guaranteed an income, but as long as you put in the work and you grind it out week in and week out, you're going to have some pretty consistent income. YouTube's been going pretty well. I had some controversial topics in, I think it was last week, that with my Pokemon cards that I found at Goodwill. I'm not going to get into all that because I've already talked about it in a video and a live stream. But that was interesting for sure. We found a bunch of Pokemon cards. I auctioned them off and I donated all the money to charity.
That was
But I
awesome.
guess as karma for me, the way I got the Pokemon cards, like 5 of the people that won them haven't even paid yet. So,
Oh my
but I
God.
already donated all the money. I was like, I'll just donate the money and you guys can just pay me later. And like 3 people, I think 8 people bought cards and only 3 of them actually paid.
Wow.
So whatever. I guess that was a highlight. I guess because we donated a lot of money to an orphanage that is near to my heart. But it
Yeah,
was
that was
also
really cool.
kind of
That was really
annoying
cool.
that people don't pay for auctions.
Yeah, that was
But
awesome. I was in that live for, however, it was like an hour and a half or something like that, and it was just cool to see like you do that. I think that's really really awesome, and it's something that, like you said, you take it to your heart, and that's amazing. A lot of people, wouldn't do that kind of stuff, and it's pretty cool that you did that. So I appreciate that as a viewer, as a friend, as a best friend. So
yeah, dude, I love giving stuff away. Ever since I started my YouTube channel, like anytime I've done giveaways for like 1,000 subscribers or 10,000 or whatever, it's fun. I really enjoy the philanthropy that comes behind it. Um,
I
but
think
yeah,
I think that's really important just for us as resellers, but content creators also. Like one of my biggest things for me, like my heart, is to give back to the community. Like I know Dante from Prison to Profit has kind of already said he wants to be like the Black Mr. Beast, basically, but which I think is awesome. But like doing stuff like what Jimmy does, Mr. Beast, just giving away, Teslas and, giving away hundreds of thousands of dollars and fun little like game competition stuff is just like, I want to kind of do that for the reselling community just to give back. Like even like Joey and I, when I've been a part of his like live listings on Monday nights, you can check those out on his YouTube channel on Monday nights. I believe it's at 9 o'clock Eastern
yeah,
Standard Time.
yeah, 9 p.m. or 9 Eastern. Yeah.
We started, well, when I've been a part of them, Joey does it now, but like we always do, put emoji in the chat, and then we'll randomly pick someone and buy something from their eBay store.
Yeah, I do
And
that every week. I do that
yeah,
every week. I love doing that. It's awesome.
and just giving back to the community in that way is just so much fun. It just makes someone's day when they get a cha-ching on their eBay store that they weren't expecting, or they may have had a slow day in sales, and even a 10 or 15 or $20 sale like means the world to them, especially when it's somebody that they're like watching and kind of looking up to, because
Mhm.
they're consuming your content, so in some way they like what you're doing, and they value your content and your personality. So um, but anyway, not to get too far off topic there, Joey, what do you got going on this week? How's it been going?
So, so I'm a full time mailman, and it's been absolutely crazy at the post office with this political stuff. I don't really want to talk about political. I'm sure we don't as well, but it's just the race is going on right now, and basically, it's been crazy, like off the wall, a bunch of political mail, and I have videos to edit and stuff, and I just haven't had time. Like I come home and I just lay down and I go to bed, and it's like not what I want to do. Like I want to edit my videos and I want to like list more stuff, and like that's why Mondays are really motivational for me, to list every Monday night and get some listings out. But this week has hit me hard. I've only had like probably maybe 10 sales. Um, my biggest sale probably was my free vans that I just got probably about 2 months ago. Like every Thursday night, we have recycling, and I will go out and get like all the boxes, like like small boxes for hats, because I sell a lot of hats. But like I find those small boxes, but I also found a pair of shoes, and I found these like old school Vans, like skateboarding shoes, size 13, and I got them for free, and I sold them for $33.99. I was so excited because you get it for free and you sell it, like that's awesome.
Yeah.
So and then like the buyer, he said, please ship in an unmarked box with no eBay logo tape. Do you think that was maybe a drop shipper? Like, but like their shoes, like I've never heard of shoes like being like in like a drop shipped item. So
Yeah, and they were used too, right?
yeah, they're used. They're not even brand new. So like I don't
Yeah,
get
that's weird.
it.
Huh.
So
Yeah, I think people have like all sorts of weird, like maybe someone was buying them for somebody else, maybe not a drop shipper, but like a friend or something, but they didn't want them to know it's coming on eBay. You know what I mean? But they were,
right.
I don't know. But yeah, that's That's interesting. I've never seen that for shoes.
Yeah, it was kind of. I was like, I'm not. Is this a VHS player? Like, like I didn't know. Like, I was like, wait a second, because I've had those before. I'm sure we all have. But I was like, these are shoes. Like, I've never seen that before. So kind of like, I was like, wait, what? Because I just got eBay tape too, and I was like, I can't use it. Like, what? so, so yeah.
Yeah,
All
getting
right.
stuff for
Guess it's my turn.
yeah, go for it.
So this week's been pretty interesting for me, including today, which today is Saturday, October 24th, 2020. I forgot to mention that at the intro, so my apologies there. But at the beginning of the week, I had a pretty crazy video game haul on Facebook Marketplace. I basically went to go pick up a Nintendo 64 and ended up coming home with a whole tote full of video games. I got a Wii with a bunch of games, a Nintendo DS with over 30 games, actually a 3DS, a GameCube, a Nintendo 64, and a couple other things as well. It was just crazy.
Well, you
And
just were originally getting, one specific thing, right? The Nintendo 64, right?
right. I originally responded to the Facebook Marketplace post. She had it listed for 50, and I messaged her within 8 minutes of her posting it and offered her 70. And I was actually on my way to church at the time when I saw it on Sunday. So I told her I'd pay 70 and I would Venmo her right away for her to hold it. And like during church, she's blowing up my phone going, someone offered me 100, someone offered me 150. I don't know what's going on. And like people were literally telling her to send my money back and they'll come pay twice as much. And I don't
What?
know, maybe God was just blessing me because I was at church or the lady was in a good mood. I don't know, but she said she was going to hold it for me. I already paid her. She just didn't want to have to deal with all the return and then someone else and possibly getting scammed or anything like that. So
So this was just for an N64.
Yeah.
just for the Nintendo 64,
That's
but that's how
crazy,
fast
dude.
video games go on Facebook Marketplace.
People
And
just
I
have
don't
no idea the value, though. I mean, you can get an N64 on eBay for like $60.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so this was a Nintendo with two controllers and like 8 games. And
Okay.
there were a couple good games in there, and I've sold some of them already. So, but it was just a good deal at $50. And but I think that there's
Yeah.
like collectors and stuff out there too. And then it's also kind of like you have your different levels of resellers, which I won't get into. But some people will pay up because they know they can flip it in 24 hours and make $40 or something. But still, 150. I told her that guy might have been a scammer. Anyway, so she told me she was comfortable with the 70. I show up and there's a GameCube on the floor, in the garage when I go to grab the Nintendo or the N64, and I asked her if it's for sale. We got into a conversation. She's moving. She has a bunch of video games, blah, blah, blah. And she didn't want to pull them all out because they were in moving boxes. And I was kind of like, my blood was pumping because I knew she had a ton of stuff from the way she was describing it. And the N64 was like clean. She said it was in her closet for the last 8 years and it had never come out. So,
Wow.
um, but so I was trying to like slightly pry and say like, hey, if you'll let me look at the box, like I'll help you, move it out of the way or whatever. And she really didn't want to. And then she kind of just said, hey, I've got one box that has some stuff in it. We'll go through that. And luckily, it had most of the video game stuff. And then she just kept telling her daughter, hey, go get the other box. Go get the other box. And I ended up just coming home with a really awesome video game haul, and it was just a really good day. That was on Sunday, so like literally the day before last week's podcast came out. So I guess you could say from week to week today on Saturday. And then I just had some really good sales this week. Yesterday was a little slow, but the day before was like a really good day. It was like $650 in gross sales. And I was talking to Joey on the phone about it the other day. It was just a really good day, kind of randomly happened. Normally, my gross sales aren't that high per day. So, anyway, I'm just really thankful to be a reseller and work for myself and just have the freedom to do this and to chat with you guys and stuff. And then today, I just posted on my Instagram. Like I said, it's the 24th, it's a Saturday. I had an epic flea market and garage sale haul today with a bunch more video games and vintage clothing and shoes and all sorts of electronics and DVD combo units. I'm just like so pumped. I love this so much.
That's awesome, man. Yeah, you showed us a few pictures, like 25% of what you picked up today, and it's it's definitely a good haul for sure. You gotta love when stuff like that happens.
Yeah, it was just the right place, the right time, type of deal. Like I said, I'm just blessed. I'm just thankful. I was out at 8 o'clock this morning and I didn't get home till 3 o'clock. So like, I mean, it does take work, guys. I'm not just saying like I walked up to the flea market and got a bunch of stuff. Like I was digging through people's piles of stuff on the ground. At the flea market, some people have stuff on tables and some people have stuff just on the ground, you know, and I literally have IKEA bags. I keep them on my shoulder, and I filled up 5 IKEA bags at the flea market today. So every time I filled it up, I've got 30, 40 pounds of whatever shoes, electronics, DVD players in my bag. So I had to keep walking back to the car and emptying it. So, but that's what it takes, man. That's the grind, the hustle, the whatever you want to call it. But I love every second of it.
It's so funny you said that's what it takes, because that's what we decided to name this episode, What It Takes. And what we want to talk about a little bit for our main topic of today's episode is what it takes to be a full-time reseller. I think a lot of people out there get into it and do it part-time, and that's totally fine. You can do this on so many different levels. If you want to make an extra $50 a month to pay your water bill, easy. If you want to make six figures, not quite as easy, but if the system is there, the system is easy. It just takes time and patience and just getting good at it over the course of time. So Drew and I are both full time. Joey is part time, but really solid part time for the amount of times he's been doing it. So we thought we'd talk a little bit about being a full time reseller, like what we've learned making the switch from part time to full time, what we've the mistakes that we've made, and what we think is important to keep in mind if you are somebody who's listening to this podcast who wants to make that transition from part-time to full-time.
Mm-hmm.
So Drew, I guess kind of give us like well, let's start with Joey. So Joey, like I said, you're not full-time yet, but what are some things that you're doing in your business right now that you think you would have trouble with if you tried to switch to full-time, I guess?
So what I think that I would have trouble with is basically I honestly don't think I'll be in trouble, honestly. I think what I'm in trouble in right now is being a part-time reseller is, I'm not organized right now. I'm not really keeping a good bookkeeping, but I actually just got help from Drew. He just sent me this link where it like kind of helps you out and does like everything. It's like really, really cool. But I really haven't been keeping my bookkeeping. I really need to get organized. Like I literally have stuff in my spare bedroom. Like I know where it is, but it's just not in bins. Like I kind of want to do it like how you have it, Josh, and like even Drew. He's doing it like in a sequential order, like either A, B, C, whatever it is. I'm not in that state yet. It was kind of like something I was doing for fun, and then it like turned into something where like this could be like a full-time thing, but I'm doing it kind of like a full-time like everything right now. And it's really difficult to just to like do everything and like make YouTube videos. It's like I'm going non-stop.
Mm-hmm.
But my biggest thing right now is being organized. Like I really want to get into making sure that I'm my profits I always have profit on everything that I buy and sell because I'm very picky of what I buy. But I really want to keep that bookkeeping where at the end of the year I have to pay taxes and I have the money saved up. I just don't know how much it's going to be. So I really need to like focus on that. And if I ever go full time, once in a blue moon, hopefully soon. But I really want to be organized and like have everything in bins and just keep it like that. Like don't like isn't that like the goal? That's what I want everyone to do. Even if you're doing it part-time, is even just to get, even if you only have like 150 items, have 3 bins, put 50 things in it or whatever, how big or small. That's my goal right now. Once that is in set and like in place, I feel like I'm a very like, it might not be like I'm a very organized person if you came to my house right now, but if I had this full time, like literally I'd be blowing it off the wall. Like once I do something, I don't stop. And it just, I have that motivation to keep it rocking and rolling. So, I just can't wait till it comes to that day. Like I have a plan where like I say 30, but I'm 23 years old right now. I say 30. If the YouTube's going really, really well and my eBay sales are just, going amazing, I definitely want to transition. You only live once and I have what it takes, to do it. And I have a great business, and I just can't wait to grow it. So yeah.
Yeah, that's great. I think that you made some really solid points there, and I think that that is a very big thing that people have to understand is, when it comes to the difference between part-time and full-time reselling, a lot of people, I guess you could say, for lack of better terms, because I'm not good with like diction, is, a lot of people say they have it, but then when it comes time to actually like put your feet down, get dirty and get to work and stuff, it takes a lot of, effort and hard work and motivation. And I think that, that kind of dovetails what Joey was saying, kind of dovetails into, for me, one of the biggest things that a lot of people struggle with when they make the transition from part-time to full-time is the loneliness of being a full-time reseller. Is, unless you are consistently staying connected, like for example, Joey and I talk at this point almost on a daily basis, you know what I mean? And we keep each other, motivated. Josh goes to bed super early, so, Joey and I usually talk late at night, but um, just having that companionship, those friendships, even doing this podcast with, the three of us, and, making friends and stuff has really helped me. But, if you don't stay like active in the reselling community on Instagram or Facebook or YouTube, or you have a friend or family member that does it with you and enjoys it, it can be very lonely. And a lot of people get burnt out from it because you are in an office or in your room, constantly taking pictures, constantly doing listings and shipping and packing stuff and organizing it. Like Joey said, organizing and things like that. Especially like for me, I work all by myself. I do everything by myself at this point. And I'd like to get to a point where I can hire some help listing and stuff. But it takes, a I guess you could say like a motivation past, just a mental like belief in yourself, because anybody can believe that they can do anything, but when it comes actually time, when push comes to shove, like like I said in the first episode, I lost my job and then I basically jumped into reselling 110% and never looked back. A lot of people need that, that paycheck in their life to know that their rent is going to get paid, and there's absolutely nothing wrong with that. But what it takes to be, I would say one of the biggest things for me to tell you, anybody out there listening, is it takes a lot of faith and a lot of trust in yourself, to believe that, you can go from literally having no income to making enough money to pay your bills, provide for your family, put food on the table, make your car payment, whatever it is, pay off your debt, whatever it is for you in whatever situation you're in. Kind of like Josh said, whether you're part-time or full-time, but to go full-time, it is, a very risky thing that a lot of people, need to, um, get to a point where you can trust yourself. Again, I know I refer to you guys a lot, but it's because I just enjoy hanging out with you guys. But like Joey said, you only live once. Like, I think that that statement is so
Wasn't that
underrated.
Drake that said that
Yes,
Well,
I love
originally?
Drake. I love Drake. I love Drake.
um, it's like Drake said, "I know when that reselling line bling," right?
Mhm.
No, is that wrong?
That
Anyway,
was perfect.
um, it's just, it takes the YOLO. You got to switch your mentality completely from what if I don't make enough money, what if this, what if that, to I have no choice, I have to do this. And when you make that mental shift from part-time to full-time, or from not doing it to going straight full-time, kind of like what I did, you know you you become like the the who is it? Who's that like trainer guy that's like always yelling? I can't think of it, but like a military sergeant. You
Right.
become your own military sergeant that's yelling at you, going, "Come on, 10 more push-ups. You got this."
Let's
Like,
go.
yeah, like you just start pushing yourself. And when you have slow sales days, like you get in there and you say, "Okay, I'm going to send offers to watchers. I'm going to edit listings. I'm going to revise listings. I'm going to end and sell similar." Instead of just watching YouTube videos of how other people are having good sales, like you got to get in there and you got to get in the trenches and you got to get down to work. And
but still keep our YouTube videos playing in the background just for the algorithm.
Yeah.
Yes, absolutely. Comment, like, and subscribe.
All at the same
But
time.
but it just I think that it's very important for people to know that the Instagram pictures, the eBay sales total numbers, when I don't share my numbers as much as some other people, just because I do sell on multiple platforms. So just showing my eBay number will literally mean nothing to anybody out there. But I like to show people, like, if you go to my Instagram, it's a whole variety of stuff when it comes to reselling. Some stuff that people can learn from, some stuff that's just motivational, some sales, some YouTube thumbnails, like all of it, because I think that full transparency as a reseller is what's going to help other people. And that's what I try to do, with my life, just in general, but as a reseller and as a content creator. So I'm trying really hard to hopefully motivate people, and again, that's my end goal, is to just really challenge people to be the best that they can be, and to know that if I can do it, some guy who basically only has a associate's degree from college, and I barely even passed. I focused more on sports than I did academics in high school. I never really was, I guess you could say, a brainy type person. No degree like in anything special, no special talents, like I can't play guitar or anything like that. you know and to just make it, I guess you could say, like, I'm living my best life and I'm happy. I'm happier than I've ever been, like, with any other job or company that I've worked for, reselling used stuff online.
Yeah, that's the beauty of working for yourself, man. You can, be your own boss, and everybody wants to be their own boss. Everybody likes that idea, but not everyone has the capability to do it. Because if you're a terrible employee, and like if you find yourself at your job, constantly having to, get caught, doing stuff you're not supposed to be doing or not doing your work, then you might not be a good employee unless you're doing something you're really passionate about. I think I was a decent employee, but obviously, we worked at my old insurance job I got laid off from. We were Monday through Friday, 8 a.m. to 5 p.m. And it wasn't a bad job. I didn't hate it. I felt like I was good at it. I did a decent job, but around 4:30 every day, I'm like, all right, I'm going to clock out mentally for the last 30 minutes. But when you work for yourself, you really have to be on it. You have, I mean, it's okay to take a break, and I'll take a 30-minute break after I upload a YouTube video while it's processing and go play some Mario Golf or something like that. But you have to be your own boss. You have to be a good boss to yourself. You can't let yourself slip up and fail at this, especially if your family's on the line. You've got to you just stick to it. You've got to get that stuff listed. You've got to go out and source. You've got to constantly be learning and growing and keeping yourself accountable. Like you said, it's a very lonely business. One of the things I do miss about working in a corporate setting is the people. You get to come in every day, and we had 6 or 7 people in our department that I was really close with. We would have conversations on every Monday morning. It's like, oh, how was your weekend? Oh, that's crazy. I did this. You did that. That's cool. And when you're a full-time reseller working by yourself, you don't get that. My wife leaves for work every day at 6:30, and then she doesn't get home until like 4. So it's just me and the dog for the whole day. And YouTube helps a little bit. If I'm really lonely, I can go jump on a YouTube live video or something, and that helps a little bit. But it's a very lonely job, so you have to be prepared for that going into it. Joey, you were talking earlier about the organization. I think that is super important. It's really important to have systems in place that make it easy to scale. I think that's something that, as a part-time reseller, you can really spend a lot of time on and fine tune your systems, like get a bin system, starting with A, B, C, whatever. And that way, when you run out of room, you can make a D bin and then an E bin and F and all that stuff.
Right.
And it's something that's easy to scale. Like you don't want to just, start reselling and you make $1,000 and you're like, all right, I'm gonna quit my job, because you don't have a bin system. You don't have shelves. You don't know how to use the custom SKU feature on eBay.
Right.
You've got to figure all this stuff out and make it easy for you for yourself. One time I did a live stream with Bonafide Hustler, and one of the things I mentioned in that live stream is that with your inventory storage system, I think again, this is one of those things where I'm like, do as I say, not as I do. Because if you've seen my last YouTube video, my inventory system is not the best, but I generally have a really good idea of where everything is. But ideally, you'd want somebody, if Drew has a perfect eBay inventory system. I should be able to go to Drew's house and pull up what sold for him on eBay on his eBay account. And based off the custom SKU information that he input, I should be able to look at his inventory system and pull and pack his orders for him without ever having to be trained.
Right.
Like for my sales, Joey or Drew could come to my house and they could look and say custom SKU E. It just says E-bin, so they look and see the big blue box with the letter E on it, and then they go look for that item. It shouldn't be that complicated. You don't want to make your systems overly complicated and hard to teach other people, because if you want to scale one day and hire an employee or hire a part-time helper or anything like that, you don't want to spend the first month trying to explain your convoluted inventory system for them. And then they get overwhelmed and then they quit, and then you got to hire somebody else to do it. You want to make sure your processes are in line, make sure there's something that's easily scalable, easily explainable, and something that's going to make it easy for you to operate your business.
Mm-hmm.
Being a full-time reseller, it's fun. Like I said, everyone wants to be their own boss, but it's lonely. You have to be organized. You have to, you just have to, as much of a dream job as this is, like it's still
a
a
lot
job.
of work. That's the point.
It's a lot of work.
A lot of work. It's rewarding. It's very rewarding, but it's a lot of work. And I think that, like Josh, your last video, I left a comment on it. I was actually watching it last night at like almost 2 a.m. while I was doing some listings. But your last video is honestly probably one of my favorite videos that I've seen you put out, because you went through so much stuff, and it was almost like a daily, a day in the life of a full-time Josh, what I mean, type video. And you did some sourcing, you did some meeting up on Facebook Marketplace, you made some money, you found some stuff, you took it home, you organized your garage, then you listed it, then you sold something else on Facebook Marketplace that you bought that day, and it's like, I was like screaming inside my head, let's go, because I was so happy that you went home and listed it, and then you shared that on your video. And I was like, dude, I know he's going to sell some of this stuff. I'm so happy that he's buying it and going home and listing it. Cause that's like, if anybody knows me, like one of my, I guess you could say, hashtags that I like to use is like team no death pile. So like I buy a lot of stuff, but I stay up late and I list it. Like I like I said, or like what Josh said, like I just put in the work, you know what I mean? And because that's what it takes. Again, that's why we titled this, episode What It Takes, because it literally is what it takes. But you don't see that a lot on the reseller channels, because there's a couple reasons. I think the first one is nobody wants to sit and watch you list stuff unless it's like a live listing, like on Joey's channel, when other people can get motivated to do listings. But nobody's going to sit and watch you for 30 minutes do listings. But when somebody can see a time lapse of you listing, 10 items in a time lapse of 18 seconds, and then you come pop in and say, hey, I just listed all this stuff, and what do you know? I already sold something. Like that is motivating to somebody to know, like, wow, I really got to list my death pile, and I think it's just super important. But yeah, man, that video was one of my favorites. I was just like internally jumping for joy, because it was just such a well-rounded video, and it gave viewers like an actual, bird's eye view. I don't know if is the right word, but maybe that's what I'm looking for, into what it takes to be a full-time reseller. Like you drove and you met someone on Facebook Marketplace. I don't want to go back into all that. You get the point, but like you did so much stuff that day and you accomplished so much. And I think that is really like the term to describe what that video is about, is you accomplished so much. And in accomplishing all of that, you can literally like sit back and relax and, eat dinner with your wife and, play Mario Golf at the end of the night, because you got everything listed and you made money.
Yeah, I did. That's the best part about like having a really productive day. You just get to experience the relaxation at the end of the day, totally guilt free. Like if I just kind of slug around all day and list 2 or 3 things and go to a couple thrift stores and watch YouTube videos, and at the end of the day, I don't feel accomplished. I don't feel good. Like I said in the video, I don't feel good about the amount of work I do in that day. But that day in the video, I was like, I know I'm going to be able to go home tonight and just feel totally accomplished. And I have had that feeling in the past working at my corporate job. If I go in and there's 40 policies to underwrite, my boss is like, get 20 of them done today. And I do like 35 or something. I'm like, all right, I feel good. My boss is happy, but I still made the same amount of money, but when you work for yourself in an eBay business, the more stuff you list, typically the more money you make, the more if you're willing to drive to meet people in Facebook Marketplace, you can make more sales. Like I've done that many times. People that are kind of on the fence about something that they're like, I don't know if I need it. I'm like, hey, I'll bring it to you right now. I'll be at your house in 15 minutes if you pay me, like, if you take this. And now, okay, you've got to be willing to do the work. Just because I have a successful YouTube channel doesn't mean that I don't spend time sweeping my own garage and driving 25 miles to do Facebook Marketplace meetups. You still, I mean, you can outsource stuff like that if you want, but for me personally, I still get in there, do the dirty work that has to be done. Not every day, to be honest, because that's part of the struggles of being my own boss. I'm not super into the whole organization thing. It's just not my strong suit in business. So that's something I need to every couple of weeks just take some time and just reorganize things. I just cleaned my office that I'm sitting in right now. I use it for shipping, and we had a pretty heavy shipping day this week, and it's just been kind of wrecked since then. So yesterday I took like 30 minutes and just cleared it out, just vacuumed the rug and got everything nice and neat. And it just makes it so much easier to be productive. So if you've got a dirty workspace, or if you're just feeling sluggish in your business and you're not making sales and you don't feel productive, just get everything cleaned, get everything organized, just
refresh everything.
Refresh, make it easy to work. If you have to step over stuff, and like in my garage, if you guys watched my last video, my garage was just completely cluttered with stuff. I'm like, you can't work in a situation like that. Just clear it out, make it easy to work, so it's easier to work.
Mm-hmm.
Absolutely.
Yeah, like jumping on top of that, topic there, I watch everything you do, Josh, and on your live with your premiere of your video, you said also in the chat, you said you felt so good that you came home with those items and you listed them all, and that's such a great feeling to know that you got all those great items that is going to sell on eBay, but you bring it home and you list like one thing that sells for $50, and the other ones are like 20, 25 and stuff like that. But you felt so good to come home and list all those items. That's such a good feeling. Like it gives you the chills sometimes. Like, I listed all those items, I feel so good. Now I can like relax, hang out with my family, do whatever I have to do and feel accomplished that, hey, I listed all those 10 items and I feel so good that I did that.
Dude, at literally 10 seconds ago, I just sold that pot that I listed in that video.
Let's go, dude.
I got it, Salvation Army, $5.99, and it sold for $40, free shipping. It's probably gonna cost like $10 or $12 to ship out. Not a ton of money, but normally last week I would have thrown that pot in my death pile and it would still be sitting there right now. $40 in gross sales just sitting there on that table. I've probably got $1,000 or more of stuff sitting on my death pile table that I just have no motivation to list. Like, I learned something being a full-time reseller, that when you find a good deal and you're like, okay, this is so much profit, I'm super excited to get this listed. That is going to be the most excited about listing that item you're ever going to be.
Right.
Yep.
The quicker you list, the easier it's going to be. Once it sits in your death pile for one day, it's going to be less exciting to list. And then if it sits in your death pile for a week or a month, I have items that have been sitting in my death pile for a year, and they're just like big, bulky. I'm like, oh gosh, I don't want to freaking list that. But sometimes I'll go and list it and it'll sell the same day. I don't understand. Like, I know the process. I know that if you list it, it will sell, generally speaking, and I still don't. So that's just a struggle of being a full-time reseller. I mean, you've got to be able to have the discipline to just get in there and get it done. As I was saying earlier, it's a dream job. I absolutely love what I do. We all love what we do.
Yeah.
But I don't think there's a single job out there that doesn't have some sucky aspects to it. Mm-hmm. Like, there's people that are living their dream, being a professional golfer or something, but that still takes a lot of work. You've got to travel all over the country all the time, and maybe you like that, but a lot of these guys have families, so they probably don't enjoy being away from their families all the time. There's bad parts to every single job in the world. So just have the discipline, have the mindset to just get over yourself, get it listed, and make that money.
Absolutely. I think that, when it comes to those topics, like what you're saying, Josh, it's so important for people to know that, when it comes to the discipline side of it, that's one of the reasons why I was saying earlier, like, it's so important to have friends and people you can rely on and stuff, because like, there have been times where I called Joey and I'm like, dude, I'm not having a good day, bro. And then he just said some encouraging words to me and was like, Drew, you got this, bro. I'm telling you, like, don't worry about this video not getting that many views, or don't worry about, that pair of shoes that you bought that you found a tear on them and so they're not really worth selling anymore, or, whatever, because people make mistakes, like you pick up something and then you get home and you're like, oh my gosh, I didn't see that flaw, or whatever. And like having that to kind of like support you on the back end is one of the best things you can do. It's almost like, if you aren't, much of a social person, because I kind of need that in my life. It's like one of my love languages is social interaction. Uh, but, find like a Tony Robbins, motivational clip on YouTube, or like some motivational speaker that just is like playing in the background, that just, is telling you, you got this, you're strong, you can do it, you're better than you think you are, you're going to make it through this, you're going to get ahead. Like, just keep playing those things in your head. um, and just believe in yourself. Everybody always says it. I know it's kind of cliche, but like, you are your own worst enemy. You can literally sit up at night and beat yourself up and go, I'm just going to watch TikTok for 3 hours instead of listing because I'm just not feeling it. But it's almost like what Josh was saying with refreshing your office or refreshing cleaning, organizing a little bit. It's the same thing for me when I start listing. I mean, I'm pretty abnormal when it comes to that, because most people hate the listing aspect and I love it. But on days that I don't feel like listing, when you start, it's like a locomotive. Like, it starts slow, you're chugging along, but eventually you get up to speed, and you're just going, 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 going. And next thing you've listed 20, 30, 40 items, and you look at the clock and you're like, whoa, I can't believe it's, 1 or 2 in the morning, but I did it, you know, and that's the way it works for me most of the time. Is like I go on like listing binges at night, where I'll like play something in the background. Like I was watching Josh's video yesterday, and then my friends Adine and Mel, they just hit 1,000 subscribers on YouTube. Their channel's called Hustlin' Hooks. They have a great reselling channel, and they're a husband and wife team. And I was watching their little, it was like an hour long, their subscriber 1,000 subscriber video. Like they did a live stream, and it was just really cool because they were giving away stuff like we mentioned earlier too. And so I was just playing that in the background while I was listing, and next thing I know, the video's over and I had gotten a bunch of stuff listed, and I didn't even realize it until I looked at my desk and I was like, whoa, everything's done.
Yeah, that's a really good feeling. Even talking about Josh for a second, me and Drew, we went to his house, not too long ago, and his office was basically almost into the kitchen, and he felt like, it is an office, but now the walls closed in. He painted the room, he bought a chair, he redesigned a table, like the little side table. Um and it's just amazing to see, like, he feels a lot better, and I can see that in him even on his YouTube videos, and we're not even there, but I just see it. Like Josh is just, you know, it's just so happy, and he like wants to put those poster boards up, and it's just so cool to know that you feel organized and you feel great, that your office is amazing. You have all your supplies in the closet there, and you feel good. That's how I want to feel. Like I feel like me and my girl, we just bought an L-shaped desk, to put in my eBay room, and I want to set up the room where it's kind of like Josh's. I have with the cool lights and stuff like Josh, and it's just
Yeah,
really cool. It's awesome to know that you have a YouTube room, like that's your studio. Like, you should be really proud of what you just did, because I'm kind of jealous and I want that too. So eventually it's going to happen.
dude,
Um,
it's so important to have a space that you're proud of, a place that makes you want to work every day. If you just go into a concrete block room with no decorations and a computer with a mindset like, oh, all I need is a computer and a regular ceiling light, and I'll just make my YouTube videos in here. Like, you've got to be excited about it. Just
right.
spend some time, get it clean, get it painted. Get a nice chair. Like, I love being in my office now. Like, I
But
mean, they're all the time, whether I'm working or
I know you're looking around right now and saying, "Wow, like this happened." Like, I mean, seriously, like the renovation of what happened to that room is amazing, and I'm not even there. Like, I can see it, through the live streams and off his YouTube videos. I know it's a great feeling, because I can't wait to do that to mine.
absolutely. Whatever you have to do to make your workspace work for you, whether that be, my listing station is out in the garage, and that's not quite as beautiful out there as it is in the office. But one step at a time. But I think organization is key, and just getting things how you like it. Again, being excited, being able to wake up every day and be excited to get out there and get to work is super important. So if you've got to spend a couple $100 in a weekend, painting and decorating and going to Home Goods, finding stuff for your office, just do it. Just knock it out. It's a tax write-off anyway,
Right. And that's what I
also, I just said, I've noticed, like, listening to all of us, we all say, so much. Well, I'm sure people listen to this podcast like, oh, gosh, how many times are they going to say, that if you guys are listening to this podcast on the YouTube channel, somebody comment on the video and say how many times we've all said, collectively.
Or me saying like, because I just will never stop saying that. I always say like, so.
We all have our quirks.
But rolling off into that, even for Drew, like, I want to see, I've told him this behind the scenes, but I want everyone to know as well. Like, I want to see you kind of like upgrade, like your camera, and I want you to, do great things, because that's part of what Josh is just saying. Like, sometimes you need to, like, spend a little bit of money and, like, do it for yourself, and just so you feel good, you know what I mean? And that's what I see. Like, sometimes I need to take a step back and say, like, what do I really need? I have this microphone for this podcast, but I know eventually I want to get one like Josh, and, like, and it's just like, it just sounds great. Eventually we're going to get there. It's that, thinking about what you're going to do in the future, and try to, make it happen. And I have what it takes. It's just, I work a full-time job, and that's basically what we're talking about here is, I'm a part-time reseller, but I want to make it where, eventually I can potentially do this full-time, and I cannot wait until that happens. When I have the drive to do this, like nobody else, man. And
dude, I can hear it. Like, every time I talk to you, I hear it in your voice how excited you are.
Yeah.
And I was the exact same way. When I went into my insurance job, I always say I had 3 computer monitors at my desk, and one corner of one monitor was always playing reselling YouTube videos. Any video, like, I was following everybody in the community, and anytime a new video popped up, I was watching it. And the whole time I was working, in the back of my mind, I was like, oh my gosh, I got so much stuff to list at my house. And I got an hour lunch break today. I'm going to see what I can find at Salvation Army. And I was watching these guys on YouTube, like Lonnie and John, that were full-time resellers. I'm like, gosh, they have literally all they do is resell and make YouTube videos full time. Like, if I didn't have 45 hours a week to spend at this job, think of how much reselling and YouTube I could do, And it's not going to work for everybody. I think reselling can work for everybody. What was that?
I said, and just look at you now.
Just look at me now. I'm never going to tell somebody they should, up and quit their job. Like, of course, you need to have a plan in place. You need to have savings, and you live a very frugal lifestyle, because it's not as easy as us YouTubers make it out to seem. But when you've got that passion, if you're working some job and all you can think about is your side hustle, you might want to start working on that. Like, instead of, like, using the side hustle money to pay your bills, just try to live a little bit more frugally and reinvest your money. Like, when I first started reselling, the first couple months, I didn't take any money for profit. I was getting more storage shelves and getting more bins, and I got my new camera. I invested, I got the Canon M50 for my YouTube videos, and that's like a $550 camera. And there's a fine line between, like, upgrading your equipment just because it's what everybody else has and you might not need it. Like, I've still got the GoPro Hero 7. I've got 65,000 subscribers on my YouTube channel, and for the most part, I just use a GoPro Hero 7. But there's people out there that are just starting a channel, and they're like, oh, I'm going to get the Canon M50 because Josh has it. I'm like, you don't need the Canon M50. Like, my first 30 YouTube videos I filmed with my cell phone. The last 300 videos I've mainly filmed with a $250 GoPro. I even upgraded to the GoPro 9, and then I didn't even like it, so I returned it and bought a new GoPro 7. So it's, it's okay to reinvest into your business. You should reinvest. Exactly. As you're working a full-time job, trying to make that transition, reinvest every penny of profit you can that you don't need to live off of. So when you want to go full-time later on, you have the systems in place to make it easier for yourself. But you don't want to spend all of your business money on stuff you don't really need. So you've got to figure out that balance for yourself.
Yeah, one of the things I'm working towards right now is I want to be debt free other than my mortgage by the end of the year. And so I'm working really hard for that.
This year, like 2 months?
Yes, in the next two
Dude,
months.
awesome. I love it.
So I'm like pushing myself. Like, again, if you saw my Instagram post from today, the 24th, you'll see how much stuff I got at the flea market and garage sales. Like, I'm just really pushing right now to get stuff, stay up late and list it, make YouTube videos, put in the grind, put in the hustle, because like I want nothing more than to be debt free so that I can just have no ties to anybody. Like, I don't have car payments anymore. We paid off a car this year. We paid off my mattress this year. We had like a fancy Tempur-Pedic mattress because when my wife gave birth, she did it at home. So we wanted one that moved up and down. So we ended up getting a fancy one. Anyway, we paid off that mattress. My car, I paid cash for a couple years ago. And we are paying off the little bit of credit card debt that we have left. And hopefully I'll be debt free other than my mortgage by the end of the year. And I honestly don't even owe that much on my mortgage. So my goal is by the end of 2021 next year to be completely debt free, including my mortgage. But um, like
That's
I
so
wanted,
amazing, man. Congrats. That's amazing. You don't even
thank
understand
you,
how great that is.
Yeah,
dude.
to be Drew, you're
I
30,
wanted
right?
so bad. What?
You're 30?
Yes.
Yeah, dude, to be 30, is your wife younger than you?
Um, by 2 weeks.
2 weeks. Okay, yeah, just imagine being a married 30-year-old couple, completely two kids, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Completely debt free. Your house is paid off.
That
Like,
is
Yep.
awesome. That is so cool.
I know.
so,
I want it. I apologize if you hear my dog in the background. He's barking at someone walking in my yard. I don't know why they're literally in my yard, but
that's a good dog.
hopefully, hopefully they walk away. But anyway, yeah, man, I want it so bad, and to be debt free. Like, I honestly lost my train of thought by what I was saying because I was talking about debt free, and there was something to it. Um, which I'm sure I'll go back and listen to this myself and be like, "Don't, I forgot to say that." But
It's just good practice, man. We're talking about being a full-time reseller.
yeah,
If you're debt free, like you don't have any debt other than your mortgage and basic bills, being a full-time reseller, if you want to do that, that makes it so much easier. Like if you can make two grand a month, 2,500, 3 grand a month reselling, I think that's pretty doable for most part-time, full-time resellers if you really bust it. And that's livable income if you don't have any debt. If all you got is your electricity and internet, with your cell phone bills and stuff like that, no credit card bills, no car payments. That's what kills people. Like some people are like, okay, I want to be a full-time reseller, but I've got a truck payment for $700 a month. My wife's got an SUV payment for $500 a month. We got 2 jet skis. We got a boat. We got a lake house. I'm like, well, I don't think you're going to make it, bud, because
yeah,
you've got to make 20 grand a month in profit just to cover your basic living expenses.
yeah. And quick side note, this is just a shameless plug for me. I'm not a sponsor, not sponsored or anything, but if you are struggling with debt and finances and not knowing where to go, and you are reselling part time because you want to pay off debt, I highly, highly recommend getting Dave Ramsey's Financial Peace University class or course. You can even find it at Goodwill sometimes or garage sales, and people are selling it for pennies on what they paid. But I believe it's like $125 for the master course,
Yeah,
and
I think so.
it's amazing for anybody. I mean, one of the reasons I actually started going to garage sales like 7 8 years ago was because it was one of the ways that Dave Ramsey suggested in his course on easy ways to pay off debt was go to garage sales on weekends if you have a 9 to 5 and buy stuff for $1 and sell it for 20. And a perfect example is my haul today. I found this vintage Nike Air Max 97 shirt. Um, it's like just got the Air Max 97 shoe on it, and then it's got a quote. I paid $2 for it at a garage sale, and I posted it on my Instagram story. And someone just offered, literally as we're recording this, someone just DM'd me and offered me $55 for it. So
That's sweet.
I mean, if that doesn't motivate you out there to know that you can literally find stuff, I mean, it's trash to cash basically is, what people call it. Gary Vee does that too on his free time, but you can literally buy stuff for pennies on the dollar and sell it and make so much of a percentage that the stock market, that Roth IRAs, those kinds of things are good long term. But if you need to pay off like quick debt or you need to make a car payment or something, like you would be surprised the stuff that people sell for absolutely nothing at flea markets and garage sales, not just thrift stores. but flea markets and garage sales where people are literally just setting up tables of stuff and they want it gone.
Mhm.
And it just amazes me. And so again, my goal is to be debt free other than my mortgage by the end of this year. And um, I I'll maybe in the next episode I'll share the amount, so you guys can hold me accountable, but I want to make sure that my wife is comfortable with me sharing those numbers before I just blab it out. But I would like to personally share it so people can know like how much work it's going to take for me to pay off the amount of debt that I have. But
Mhm.
I want people to hold me accountable because I want to do it. Like that's how
Yeah,
bad I want it. So maybe
for
next
sure.
episode.
Yeah, I mean, I'll share mine. So I think we should be debt free. I want to say within 6 months, but it really depends on YouTube because like basically all the money I'm making from YouTube, I'm just kind of rolling towards our debt and taxes. There's when you start making a good amount of money, it's fun, but you also owe a ton of taxes, which sucks. Um, but depending on how YouTube goes for the last 90 days, it's been pretty consistently. So going into the next 6 to 12 months, we should be completely debt free except for our house. I just bought my new Forerunner, which we did $10,000 down on that. So we financed about 15, 16,000 on that. We owe like 11,000 on my wife's car, close to it. We paid off my wife's student loan a couple months ago. I owe 21,000 on my student loans. Um, and like 4,000 on a medical bill. So all of that should be paid off within the next, I think, 6 months. But I don't want to get too excited. So we'll say 6 to 12 months. Again, it really depends on YouTube. But I'm just so excited to be. I'm turning 30 next month, and I'm thinking about this time next year, like October, November of 2021. I'll be 30, going on 31. My wife will be 20, 25, 20, 20, 26, and we could possibly be completely debt free except for our house. And if I'm still making the same type of income I'm super blessed to make now, I can't imagine. Like, it's just like Dave Ramsey says, if you live like no one else now, later on you can live and give like no one else. Like if you
Absolutely.
if you pay off your debt and you're still making a significant income and you're still willing to get out there and bust it day in and day out, you'll have enough money to do whatever you want to do. You can go on vacations, you could give generously, you, like you can auction off Pokemon cards and donate a bunch of money to a charity you like, and then if people don't pay for the Pokemon cards, it's not a big deal
Yeah,
because
not at all.
you've lived frugally enough to where it's not. I've had times in my life where I was very poor. I actually had to. There was a point at probably my lowest point in my life financially. I actually had to go to a Harvest Hope food bank to get food for a week because I had literally no money and no food at all. I had already paid off my rent, paid my car payment, and I paid all my bills because I was so afraid of my credit getting ruined. But then I didn't literally had no food to eat, so I had to, hang my head and go into a food bank and get food. And to go from that to being, like I said, possibly next year being totally debt free, making a pretty significant income for a college dropout in South Carolina. I just can't imagine the amount of stuff I'll be able to do for my family and for others, giving to others. And making a lot of money is, I don't want it to come off as like, I'm going to get a Tesla and blah, blah, blah. Like I might get a Tesla one day, but I'm more excited about the things that I'll be able to do for other people than what I'll be able to do for myself. And it's because you live frugally, you work hard, you live beneath your means, you don't spend every dime you make. So
Yep.
many people, I think, if I don't want to give incorrect statistics, but I'm pretty sure like 80% of Americans live paycheck to paycheck, something like that. Like if they
It's
miss
crazy.
one single paycheck, it creates a financial crisis in their life. Like, and most people, especially younger people like our age, a flat tire like is a financial crisis in their life. Like an $80 to $120 flat tire is stressful. And I never want to go back to a point in my life when something like that causes me stress. Like now, if our kitchen floods and we have to pay $1,000 deductible for insurance, it's an annoyance. I'm like, oh, that sucks, but I'm not stressed
It's
about
not a
it.
burden. Yep.
It's not a burden. It's just something that like, okay, whatever, we'll just pay for it. And that I cannot explain to you guys how good that is, like how good that makes me feel to get rid of so much stress in our lives when we see that so many marriages fail because of financial troubles and so many, just like gambling behind the back and debt that the other person doesn't know about, and just getting all of that out of the way and not having to worry about it just makes life so much easier.
Mm-hmm. That's for sure. I'm 23 years old and I just bought my house, and I wish I could be at the same level or where you guys are at. I'm basically debt free. The only, I
Dude,
mean,
you got 7 years of YouTube ahead of us.
Mhm.
I know, right? So like I'm looking at it where you guys are saying, 7 years. I mean, I unfortunately I have a Tesla, and Josh said, "Oh, I'm not gonna buy a Tesla, but one day, hope."
Dude, I almost did, man. It was.
You should have. I won't hold that against you, but
I'll just wait like 5 more years until they like in 5 years I could upgrade my Forerunner to like a TRD Pro. I've just got the SR5 now, TRD Pro, and get a Tesla. Just
dude, I
live like no one else now. Like just live beneath your means, save money, get out of debt, and then later on you can do stuff like that
dude,
in life.
that's honestly amazing. I wish I knew the things that I knew now. But I would never go back and get rid of my Tesla, but that's the one of the payments that I have, and my house. I mean, other than that, I'm debt free. Other than bills and stuff, but
That's amazing, dude. Joey, you are killing it, bro. Trust me. There are so many people that would wish they could be in your position.
Yeah,
So again,
23-year-olds have no idea what they're doing. You're so far ahead of the
23-year-old that
pack,
owns
man.
a Tesla, a 23-year-old that bought his own house, a 23-year-old that has a great job and is reselling and is making YouTube videos. Dude, you are killing it, bro.
I appreciate that. I mean, the grind is just insane. I tell my girl all the time, I'm like, I'm doing this for us. I want to do this and potentially, make this a full-time thing, and, have a family and be there, for, their baseball games or their ballerina, recitals or anything. Like, I want to be there with them and hanging out with my family or hanging out with you guys, like being able to do the podcast together. Like, like even like we take a flight to go see Josh, or he comes here, we go to Orlando. It will be it will come true. I'm not going to say I wish. I want it to come true, and I'm giving myself goosebumps, but it's telling me, like, something's telling me it's going to happen one day, and I cannot wait. I have the drive. It's just insane that I'm at this point in my life right now, just being to talk to you guys. Like, I can't even talk. Like, it's so amazing that I could do this with you guys, and the future is just ahead.
So bright.
It's so bright.
So incredibly bright. Guys, we are over an hour, and I don't want to keep people for too long, but I do want to mention that all three of us have YouTube channels, as we were talking about, but we haven't really talked about how to find us. So again, my name is Josh. I go by Harry Tornado on YouTube and Instagram. Chances are you probably know all three of us if you're listening to this podcast. We're only on episode 2, but just in case, my YouTube channel is Harry Tornado, Hairy Tornado. Instagram at Harry Tornado. Drew, drop your info.
Yeah, so you can find me on Instagram at Drew_thrifts and flips. And then you can find me on YouTube as Profit Monsters. I have a Profit Monsters Instagram page, but I don't do much with it because my following was just growing so much more rapidly from my Drew Thrifts and Flips page that I wasn't getting a lot of organic growth from Profit Monsters. So eventually I'll change it over, but Profit Monsters on YouTube and Drew_thrifts and flips on Instagram.
And then I'm Joey Bada Bing 22, your local mailman. And
You have to type that in when you search.
No.
Your local mailman.
All
But
caps.
all caps, and let's go. But I'm Joey Bada Bing 22, so it's Joey and then Bada, Bada, and then Bing 22, the number. Yeah, I got that nickname in 5th grade. I was like, I don't know, 10 years old or something like that. And it's stuck ever since. And it's just Joey Bada Bing 22 on Instagram and on YouTube. So check us all out. It'll be greatly appreciated.
Absolutely. And make sure, if you guys are listening to this podcast, I don't know. I'm so curious to learn where people are listening to it, because it is on Spotify already. If you tell your Google or Alexa to play Triple Thrift Podcast on Spotify, it should work for you guys. So we're still working to get that on Google Podcasts or Apple iTunes or anything like that. So still working on the distribution. But I'm curious if you're listening to this, how you're listening to it. So let us know. DM us on Instagram, comment on the YouTube video. Let us know how you guys are listening to this. I'm super excited to see where it goes, how it keeps going in the future. again, we want to do this podcast once a week, every Monday morning, probably around 8 a.m. I think I'll make the next episode live, and it'll usually be about an hour, depending at this hour and 4 minutes, almost 5 minutes so far. But thank you guys so much for listening. Drew, Joey, thank you guys for recording with me tonight. I definitely appreciate you guys being here. It was fun. I feel motivated, but it's Saturday, and I think we're going to go grill hot dogs tonight. So I'm probably not going to list anything tonight or tackle my death pile. But first thing Monday morning, I'm going to hop to it. And I challenge everybody listening to this podcast right now, take the motivation that you got from this. Don't let it run out. Go get something listed. You're listening to this on Monday, so stop what you're doing. Stop what you're doing and list 5 things.
What are you doing? Let's go. We got a list every Monday. You guys know it, and ship out your items. So
that's right. We're going to be your accountability buddies every Monday.
Accountability buddies. just remember, guys, if the 3 of us can do it, then you can do it as well. None of us are, we're handed anything on a silver spoon. We weren't given businesses. We all have grown these from the ground up, and we all are making sales. We all are working on our YouTube channels. We're all working on this podcast. There's nothing that we're doing that you can't do. And if you want to start your YouTube just to document the stuff that you find so you can go back and say, oh, I remember when I found that, then do it. Or if you want to share your finds because you want to make videos, go for it. Don't let anything stop you. Don't let the fear of people thinking that, people are going to comment negatively or, whatever, say mean things or something like that. Don't let that stop you. Don't let those things, control you. And just believe in yourself. I don't know any other way to say it than just believe in yourself.
And
as a closing remark for myself for this episode, you can do it. I believe in you. Josh believes in you. And I know that Joey believes in you.
There's not a doubt in my mind that Joey believes in everybody.
Yeah, and just like a little closing statement. That's what it takes, guys, is just being dedicated, motivated, and anticipated to get things done.
Intimidated.
We're
gonna intimidate you into listing every single week.
So just go out there and go get it. I'm doing this as a full-time mailman, and literally I'm taking a full-time business at the same time. My mind is reselling even when I'm a mailman. I'm looking at trash and stuff, and at the end of the curb, and I'm picking it up and I'm selling it, guys. Like it's insane. You guys can do it, and let's get to it, boy. Let's go.
Let's get to it, baby. Let's go.
You can do it. Let's get to it. See you guys on the next episode.
See ya.